The battlefield was silent in a way that felt wrong. The air, heavy with smoke and the acrid stench of burning metal, carried an eerie stillness. Captain Elias Kane crouched behind the shattered remains of what had once been a transport vehicle. His heart pounded, but his mind was sharp. Around him, the clash of alien forces had dwindled to the occasional distant explosion. The fighting had moved on, or so he hoped. Elias wiped sweat from his forehead, scanning the terrain. Twisted metal, scorched earth, and fallen bodies littered the valley. He had not expected their mission to turn into a battlefield. Humans were explorers, negotiators, not soldiers. But here he was, in the middle of an alien war, faced with choices that could cost him his life. Then he saw her, a figure lying among the rubble. She was unmistakably alien tall, armored in sleek exoskeleton plating, her four arms sprawled at odd angles. But what struck him was that she was not moving. Her breathing was shallow, her body paralyzed. Her armor was cracked and the wounds underneath glistened with alien ichor. The others, her comrades, had fled in terror, or perhaps in shame, leaving her to die. Elias' instincts screamed at him, "Leave her and survive." But something else, something stronger, made him move. He could not just stand there. He was trained for emergencies, for impossible choices, and this was one of them. He darted forward, weaving between shards of metal and smoldering craters. Every step was calculated. Every movement made a sound that could give him away. The alien warrior's eyes flickered open as he approached, revealing a deep, piercing amber gaze. Fear, pain, and a spark of defiance that even her paralysis could not extinguish. "Hold still," Elias whispered, careful not to alarm her. He crouched beside her, testing her for injuries he could treat. He had no medical background beyond emergency first aid, but he had human ingenuity and improvisation skills. He quickly realized that moving her would be difficult. Her limbs refused to obey, her armor was heavy, and the terrain was unstable. He paused. The enemy could return at any moment. His team was already retreating, leaving him isolated. Every rational thought screamed at him to leave, but the human part of him, the part that refused to abandon life, won over. Elias lifted her carefully, using a combination of his arms and a makeshift sling fashioned from scraps of her armor and his own utility belt. Her body was surprisingly heavy, denser than he expected. But he gritted his teeth and began moving toward the ridge where he had seen a faint glimmer of human tech, a hidden emergency outpost they had established as a contingency. Each step was a struggle. The smoke stung his eyes and the terrain threatened to trip him at every turn. Explosions rocked the ground, but he pressed on. Occasionally he glanced at the alien warrior. She was silent, barely conscious, but her eyes followed him. There was a flicker of recognition, perhaps fear, perhaps confusion. "Almost there," he muttered, though he wasn't sure if she could hear him. Talking kept him focused. Talking reminded him that he was human and alive, and somehow, against all odds, that mattered. As he climbed the final slope, a small patrol appeared, 3 heavily armored alien soldiers scanning the area. Elias froze, heart hammering. He ducked behind a jagged piece of rock, thinking quickly. Humans did not have the speed or armor of these aliens. They had to rely on brains, strategy, and unpredictability. He waited until the patrol passed, then continued, moving in short, calculated bursts. Every sound was magnified, every shadow a potential threat. He did not falter. Human persistence was not about brute strength. It was about survival against the impossible odds. By late afternoon, he reached the outpost. It was a small structure, half buried in rock, equipped with human medical supplies and minimal defensive measures. Elias set the alien warrior down gently, checking the limited equipment. There were no advanced tools for her species, but he had ingenuity. He could improvise. He began treating her injuries, using human antiseptic sprays and makeshift splints to stabilize her limbs. Her breathing steadied slightly. She blinked slowly, a weak growl escaping her throat, a sound that was more alien than anything he had ever heard, but it carried a tone he could understand, grudging recognition. "Easy," he said softly. "You're safe for now." She tried to speak, but her voice was weak, garbled in her alien language. Elias didn't understand the words, but he understood the meaning. She was angry, confused, humiliated. She was a warrior abandoned, now in the hands of a human. Hours passed. Night fell. The alien warrior's eyes followed him as he moved about the outpost, organizing supplies and reinforcing defenses. Occasionally, distant explosions reminded them that the battlefield was still alive, that danger was never far. Yet here, in this small pocket of human ingenuity, life clung stubbornly to hope. Elias worked tirelessly, using a combination of medical knowledge and creative thinking. He fashioned a crude exoskeletal support system from metal scraps, pulleys, and cables, allowing the warrior limited movement. It was clunky, far from perfect, but it was enough. She could move an arm, then another, small victories that brought hope to both of them. "Human," she rasped one evening. Elias froze. Her voice was rough, alien, but he understood the attempt, recognition. She knew him not as a captor, but as someone who had chosen to save her. "You're stronger than you think," he said, smiling faintly. "And you don't need to thank me. You're alive, that's enough." For the first time since he found her, the alien warrior relaxed slightly. She still had her pride, still bristled at the vulnerability forced upon her, but she began to realize something. Humans could surprise even the fiercest warriors. Courage did not always come from superior strength or armor. Sometimes it came from willingness to act when others fled. Days passed. Elias continued to nurse her back to health. He improvised medicines, created exercise regimens to stimulate her paralyzed limbs, and even managed to communicate basic ideas using gestures and simple symbols. Slowly, trust began to build. The alien warrior, once defiant and distrustful, now accepted his presence without hostility. Yet danger remained. Word spread quickly among the alien factions that a paralyzed warrior had survived against all odds. Some saw it as an opportunity to gain leverage, others as a threat to their pride. Elias knew it was only a matter of time before someone came for her, but humans had a way of surviving where others expected them to fail. Elias fortified the outpost, set traps, and planned escape routes. He relied on his knowledge, intuition, and improvisation, tools that no alien brute force could entirely predict. He was a small human against a galaxy of threats, yet he did not falter. One night, as the wind howled outside, the alien warrior looked at him, her amber eyes softer, tinged with something like respect. Elias met her gaze, recognizing the unspoken acknowledgement. Humans had made a difference. Humans had changed the outcome. "You saved me," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I just did what had to be done," Elias replied. "You would have done the same if the roles were reversed, maybe even better." A faint smile crossed her features, an alien expression of something akin to gratitude. Elias felt a surge of determination. He had chosen this path, against reason and odds, and the human spirit had prevailed in the smallest, yet most significant way. As the night deepened, the outpost became their sanctuary. Not just a place of safety, but a testament to human courage, ingenuity, and perseverance. Outside, the galaxy remained dangerous, unpredictable, and merciless. Inside, a human had saved an alien warrior, proving that even in a universe of chaos, one being's choice could defy destiny. Elias did not know what the coming days would bring. The battlefield would not forgive weakness, and alien factions would not rest. But for now, the warrior was alive, and that was enough. He would face what came next with the stubbornness and ingenuity only humans possessed. And in the silent moments when all else was still, the alien warrior's gaze lingered on him, not with fear, not with hatred, but with the beginnings of trust, and perhaps, in time, respect. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, the valley seemed a little less hostile, a little less impossible. Humans could endure. Humans could survive. Humans could save those even the galaxy had written off. And Elia's Kane, carrying the weight of a warrior who could not yet stand on her own, felt the quiet satisfaction of a mission accomplished against impossible odds. Tomorrow, the galaxy would test them again. But tonight, a human had changed fate. The first light of alien dawn barely penetrated the thick clouds that hung over the jagged valley. Inside the outpost, Elia's Kane moved quietly, checking the perimeter and reinforcing the makeshift defenses he had improvised. He had grown accustomed to long nights of vigilance, but the calm before sunrise felt different this morning. There was tension in the air, a faint warning that danger was near. The alien warrior, Scifi Vol, lay on the reinforced bed Elias had fashioned for her body still partially immobilized but showing progress. Her amber eyes flicked open as he entered, watching him with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. She had started to regain small movements, fingers curling, limbs twitching, but every action was deliberate and slow. Elias knelt beside her, offering a warm, reassuring smile. "Morning," he said softly. "You slept well." Her lips twitched in what might have been the beginning of a smile, but she did not answer. Instead, she attempted to lift her right arm, a motion that had been impossible only days before. It shook violently, and Elias guided it gently. "Good, very good," he encouraged. "Little by little, you'll be stronger soon." She glanced at him, the faintest glimmer of trust in her eyes. Elias understood that trust was fragile for a warrior like her. In her culture, survival depended on strength and independence. Being saved by a human, one species she likely viewed as inferior, was humbling and difficult to accept. Hours passed as he continued the rehabilitation exercises. While Elias worked, he thought about the approaching threat. Word of her survival would have spread quickly. Rival factions would want her eliminated, either for honor, revenge, or political advantage. Humans had interfered in alien wars before, but rarely with this level of personal risk. Elias knew that at any moment they could be surrounded. A sharp noise outside drew his attention. He froze, listening. The wind carried a faint metallic scrape, a sound that was alien and precise. Elias' instincts kicked in. "Stay down," he whispered. Saratha's head turned, tracking the sound with her heightened senses. Despite her partial paralysis, she tensed, ready to react if she could. Elias moved to the entrance of the outpost, scanning for intruders. In the dim morning light, 3 figures emerged from the rocky terrain, a patrol of alien soldiers scanning for signs of life. Elias ducked behind a console and quickly assessed the situation. They were heavily armored and well-armed, but not prepared for human ingenuity. He grabbed a crate of supplies and rolled it silently toward the entrance, creating a small barricade and a makeshift trap. Then he activated the limited security drones left behind from the initial mission, setting them to patrol silently. The aliens would not expect this. The soldiers advanced, their movements confident. Elias waited, heart pounding, eyes sharp. Humans were smaller, physically weaker, but they could think, improvise, and survive against overwhelming odds. He counted steps, timed their approach, and waited for the perfect moment. When the first soldier stepped too close to the drone's patrol zone, Elias triggered it. The small drone zipped forward, startling the alien and causing him to stumble. Elias seized the moment, using a short-range energy net to entangle another. The remaining alien froze, uncertain, giving Elias just enough time to drag Scifi to a safer corner. She looked at him, her eyes wide. "Human," she muttered, her voice weak but full of disbelief. "We survive," Elias said simply. "That's what humans do." The aliens retreated, regrouping at a distance. Elias knew this would not be the last attack. The moment they realized she was alive and protected by a human, more would come. He had little time to prepare. Over the next day, Elias focused on strengthening the outpost and Sarathi herself. He created simple tools to help her exercise, moving her limbs in ways that mimicked combat training. Slowly, methodically, she began to respond. Her muscles regained tone, her reflexes sharpened, and her confidence started to return. Sarathi watched him work, silent at first, then gradually more engaged. She attempted small actions on her own, clumsy but determined. Elias marveled at her resilience. Humans were adaptable, yes, but so were the alien warriors, and now their strengths were beginning to complement one another. By evening, Sarathi managed to push herself upright in the makeshift exoskeletal support. It was awkward, unsteady, but she stood. Elias helped stabilize her, pride swelling within him. "See, you're stronger than you think," he said. She did not reply, but her gaze lingered on him longer than before. It was not gratitude in the human sense, but respect, the recognition that he had risked everything to save her. That night, the outpost's sensors picked up more movement, far larger forces this time. Elias realized they were surrounded, or would be soon. He had limited weapons and defenses, but he had something more: creativity and strategy. He quickly devised a plan. Using the rocky terrain around the outpost, he created choke points and improvised traps. He set up decoys and false pathways, ensuring that any attackers would be confused and slowed. He taught Sarathi how to use her partially regained mobility to assist in the defense, combining human tactics with alien combat skills. When the first wave arrived at dawn, Elias and Sarathi were ready. The aliens charged, confident in their superior numbers and strength, only to find themselves slowed, misdirected, and trapped. Small energy nets, tripwires, and cleverly positioned drones disoriented them. Sarathi moved with surprising speed and precision, using her forearms to strike, push, and disarm attackers, while Elias provided cover and tactical direction. The battle was chaotic, but Elias remained calm. Humans could not overpower the aliens, but they could outthink them, using strategy, improvisation, and teamwork. Sarathi, seeing the effectiveness of human tactics firsthand, began to appreciate their value. For the first time, she understood that humans could be more dangerous than brute strength suggested. After the attackers retreated, regrouping at a distance, Elias and Sarathi took stock of their situation. The outpost had held, but they could not remain here indefinitely. More enemies would come, and soon. "We need to move," Elias said. "They will not stop." Sarathi looked at him, her amber eyes steady. She nodded, an acknowledgement that humans were more than they seemed. "Lead," she said. They left the outpost, moving through narrow passes and hidden valleys. Elias carried only what was necessary, relying on stealth and cunning to evade patrols. Sarathi, with her regained mobility, kept close, her senses alert for danger. Together they moved like a single entity, human intuition and alien skill combining in a seamless, deadly partnership. During their journey, they encountered other survivors, both human and alien, caught in the crossfire of the ongoing war. Elias helped them, using clever tactics and quick thinking to extract them from danger. Sarathi observed silently, slowly realizing that humans were not just capable of saving one life, they could save many, and inspire loyalty in those they protected. By nightfall, they reached a small canyon, a natural fortress hidden from the main conflict. Elias set up a temporary camp, reinforcing natural barriers and creating rudimentary defenses. He tended to Sarathi's injuries, using a combination of human ingenuity and the alien knowledge she shared reluctantly. Their communication was slow but improving, a mixture of gestures, simple words, and shared understanding. For the first time since the battle, they had a moment of peace. Sarathi sat upright, her body strong enough to support her fully. She looked at Elias with a new understanding. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but resilient, resourceful, and courageous. The species she had once dismissed as weak had saved her life and now shared her struggle. "Human," she said softly, her voice carrying a tone Elias could sense as respect. "You are unusual," he smiled. "We do what we must. That's how humans survive." A distant rumble reminded them that the war had not ended. Forces would come again, stronger and more determined. But for now, they had survived and in doing so, had built the beginnings of trust and partnership. As night deepened, Elias kept watch while Sarathi rested. The stars above were bright and cold, indifferent to the struggles below. Yet humans had carved a space for life, for hope, and for defiance against impossible odds. And now, an alien warrior, once proud and independent, had begun to see the value in human courage and ingenuity. Tomorrow they would face the war again. But tonight, they had proven that humans could adapt, survive, and inspire loyalty in even the most skeptical allies. And that, Elias thought as he gazed at the stars, was a power that could not be measured by strength alone. The morning sun barely touched the jagged peaks when Elias Kane and Sarathi Val prepared for the final confrontation. Their temporary canyon stronghold, hidden from view, offered them shelter, but it could not protect them forever. Word of Sarathi's survival had spread, and the alien factions that once abandoned her now came with overwhelming force. Elias knew that this battle would test not only their strength but their ingenuity, courage, and trust in one another. Sarathi stretched her limbs, now fully mobile thanks to the weeks of careful rehabilitation. Her amber eyes scanned the rocky terrain, calculating potential ambush points and defensive positions. She moved with the fluidity of a warrior reborn, her muscles strong, her reflexes sharp. She turned to Elias, a flicker of respect and acknowledgement in her gaze. She had come to see what humans could do not through brute strength but through intelligence, unpredictability, and determination. "They will come in waves," Elias said, his voice calm but firm. "We cannot overpower them, but we can outthink them. We can survive and we can fight." Sarathi nodded. She trusted him now, not blindly, but with the understanding that his choices were deliberate and that he would not falter. Together, they moved to set the traps Elias had devised. Narrow rock passages lined with hidden snares, small energy nets wired to triggers, and decoy signals to confuse approaching forces. They were not soldiers by training, but the combination of human creativity and alien combat skill made them formidable. Hours passed in preparation. Each movement, each adjustment of a trap was deliberate. Elias had taught Sarathi to anticipate the enemy's tactics, to predict how they would respond to obstacles, and to strike at critical moments. They moved like a single unit, silent, focused, and deadly. The first wave appeared at midday. A column of heavily armored alien soldiers crested the ridge, their weapons glinting in the harsh sunlight. Elias and Sarathi waited, concealed within the canyon's shadows. When the leading soldier triggered a hidden wire, a small rockslide blocked the path, forcing the column to split. The energy net sprung, entangling several soldiers and throwing the rest into confusion. Sarathi struck first, her four arms moving with lethal precision. She used her enhanced agility to dart between attackers, disarming and incapacitating them with a combination of strength and skill. Elias moved alongside her, using tactical maneuvers and improvised tools to strike from unexpected angles. Their enemies had superior numbers, but humans were unpredictable, and aliens had underestimated the combination of cunning and resilience. As the battle intensified, Elias realized they were dealing with an elite strike team, a group trained to eliminate high-value targets. He and Sarathi worked seamlessly, anticipating each other's moves, coordinating strikes and defenses. Elias improvised on the fly, redirecting attackers into traps, using terrain to his advantage, and even rigging simple explosive charges to block advance routes. Sarathi's respect for humans deepened with each moment. She had seen alien warriors fall to their own overconfidence, but Elia's calm, decisive actions showed her a new kind of strength. It was not strength in size or armor, but strength in mind, courage, and persistence. Humans were underestimated, but they survived where others failed. By late afternoon, the enemy forces were faltering. Confusion and misdirection had broken their cohesion, and the traps had inflicted significant losses. Sarathi, now fully agile, led a counterattack that turned the tide. She moved with precision and power, her warrior instincts sharpened by the lessons learned under Elia's guidance. The remaining alien soldiers retreated, regrouping at a distance. Elias and Sarathi did not pursue them immediately. They knew the danger was not over. More reinforcements would come. But the first wave had been repelled, and in doing so, they had proven something crucial. Humans could outthink, outlast, and outmaneuver superior forces. Night fell, bringing a temporary reprieve. Elias and Sarathi set up a watch rotation, using the time to heal minor injuries and reinforce their defenses. They shared a quiet moment, watching the stars above. Sarathi spoke softly, in words Elias now partially understood. "You saved me, not just from them but from death itself. I owe you." Elias shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. We survive, that's what humans do, but we make each other stronger. That's enough." The bond between them had grown beyond survival. Sarathi had come to see Elias as an equal, not in strength, but in resolve and ingenuity. She had learned that humans, though physically weaker, possessed a combination of courage, adaptability, and quick thinking that could turn the impossible into reality. The next day, a second wave arrived. Larger, more organized, and better equipped. Elias and Sarathi had anticipated this and had prepared accordingly. Using a combination of high ground, traps, and psychological tactics, they lured the enemy into a carefully planned ambush. Small energy detonators concealed in rock formations startled and disoriented the aliens, while decoy signals drew them into confined spaces where Sarathi could strike efficiently. The battle raged, and the human-alien team continued to adapt in real time. Elias' quick thinking, combined with Sarathi's combat prowess, allowed them to dismantle the enemy systematically. Each victory was small but cumulative, weakening the alien forces and eroding their morale. By mid-afternoon, the enemy's resolve began to crumble. The soldiers realized they were being outmaneuvered, outthought, and outmatched, not by superior strength, but by intelligence, strategy, and teamwork. Sarathi, now fully recovered, moved with the grace and precision of a true warrior, while Elias anticipated their tactics, turning their own strengths against them. When the final push came, it was a coordinated strike. Elias led the human-engineered assault, directing traps and decoys with precision, while Sarathi delivered the decisive blows to incapacitate key opponents. The remaining forces fled, leaving the battlefield in silence. Elias and Sarathi stood amidst the aftermath, breathing heavily, surveying the cleared valley. They had survived against impossible odds. They had not only saved themselves, but had also proven the unexpected power of human resilience and ingenuity. Sarathi turned to Elias, her voice filled with a mixture of respect and awe. "You humans, you are remarkable. I underestimated you." Elias smiled. "We survive, we fight. We make choices when others would run. That's who we are." She nodded, a small smile breaking through her stoic expression. For the first time, she seemed at peace, knowing that her life had been saved and that humans were worthy allies, capable of courage and ingenuity that even the fiercest warriors could respect. The aftermath was quiet but filled with meaning. Together, Elias and Sarathi had not only survived, they had forged a bond that transcended species. The alien warrior had learned the value of human determination, and Elias had witnessed the strength and honor of an alien life he had once only known as an enemy. As night fell, they made their way to a hidden path leading out of the valley, careful to avoid any remaining threats. Sarathi moved beside Elias, agile and confident, a warrior reborn and grateful. The humans and aliens they had saved along the way followed, inspired by the courage they had witnessed. By the time they reached a safe zone, Elias and Sarathi were no longer just survivors. They were symbols. Symbols of what could be achieved when intelligence, courage, and empathy worked together. Humanity had proven itself once again, clever, resourceful, and capable of shaping outcomes even in the face of overwhelming odds. Sarathi looked at Elias one last time before parting ways with the remaining aliens who would return to their homeworld. You have my respect and my gratitude. Perhaps in the future our people can learn from one another. Elias nodded. We can. Humans are always willing to try and we never give up. That's how we survive and thrive. As they watched the horizon, the stars twinkling cold and distant, Elias knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and dangerous. But humans had proven that even in a universe filled with giants, predators, and wars, one human mind and one human heart could change fate. And Sarathi Val, the alien warrior who had once been abandoned to die, had learned that humans were not to be underestimated. They were clever, courageous, and determined, a force capable of saving lives, inspiring loyalty, and earning respect across the stars. Together they had survived, they had triumphed, and they had forged a new understanding between species. The valley, once a place of death and despair, now held the echoes of courage, ingenuity, and the enduring truth that humans could survive, and even thrive, where others expected them to fail. Elias glanced at Sarathi, who stood tall and strong, the warrior she had always been, now tempered by experience and respect for the human who had saved her. The bond they shared was unspoken but unbreakable, a testament to what could be achieved when survival, courage, and ingenuity met in perfect harmony. The galaxy would continue to test them. There would be more wars, more enemies, more impossible odds. But for now, the human and the alien warrior had proven a simple truth. Courage, intelligence, and determination could defy even the most insurmountable challenges. And that truth, Elias knew, would echo far beyond this valley, inspiring both human and alien alike to never underestimate the power of the human spirit.